Welcome, CVHS information session. I'm so glad you all are here. This is going to be information for the following school year. My name is Lizette Swyven, and I am the Associate Director of Instruction for high school at Cottonwood. We know that high school is an exciting time of personal and academic growth. And at Cottonwood, every student's journey is uniquely crafted to suit their individual needs. Today, I want to share with you how Cottonwood can partner with you to help your students succeed. Students, there are lots of different ways and partnerships within our school, and CVHS is one of those things you can take advantage of. Some of the things at Cottonwood in general that students can take advantage of are meeting with their high school counselor. If they haven't already met with their high school counselor, they'll be calling to make sure they do, because we really encourage that. Our high school counselors help them make plans and set goals and build their schedule, most importantly. You also have your homeschool teachers, parents, support staff. Everyone works together to bring social, emotional, and academic growth to our Cottonwood students. As a former high school homeschool parent, I had 3 kids and I homeschooled them little bits, one all through high school and the other 2 portions of high school. I really appreciated subject-specific teachers who worked with my own students to help them excel in their academics and teach things like physics and algebra 2 and pre-calculus and all the things that I thought, I'm going to let someone else help me with this. So I know what kind of journey you all are either starting or in right now, and we're happy that you're here so you can hear how you can partner with us on this journey if you choose. So today, this presentation will be about an hour long, no more. And at the end, I will open it up for questions, and there will also be a survey form that you can fill out with more questions if you don't feel comfortable asking them here, or ways that I can contact you and talk to you on the phone or via email. And if you want this slide presentation, you can also request that in the survey. So just to let you know, we're also today going to be talking about what is CVHS, live and self-paced classes. We're going to look at the class list. Students are going to share. We're going to look at the live schedule, and we're going to meet our team. The CVHS teachers are here today. And then lastly, we'll talk about pricing, and any questions that I can answer, we'll do that as well. So today you're going to learn about Cottonwood's internal virtual high school classes. That is what is CVHS. And CVHS has different options: live, it has self-paced classes, live classes, and CTE high school courses for home study students. So I made this slide a while back, and it's also in our program details, which you can get the link for at the end of this. But one thing we want you to know is what we're all about. We are about university prep. We want your students to be college and career ready. We are student-centered and collaborative. We have engaging classes with relevant real-world connections that are infused with 21st century skills. And next year, one thing we're adding are in our live classes, our cross-curricular connections with CTE, the arts, and core academics. The teachers will be meeting together and creating units and projects and cross-curricular explorations to really inspire and connect students to what they're learning. Our program is designed to meet the needs of Cottonwood home study students and families. CVHS has both choice and flexibility. It is Cottonwood's internal program, so we only work with Cottonwood students. Students can choose one or more classes from 2 different course options, live and self-paced. So the CVHS live classes, those meet in Zoom. They're teacher designed for maximum learning and engagement. And the CVHS self-paced courses offer students flexibility. The teachers have oversight over those classes and support. Here are some more details about our live versus self-paced. And although I won't go into the very nitty-gritty of this whole slide, you can have a copy of this at the end. But generally for curriculum, our live classes, they meet in Zoom. And they use Canvas as their learning management system. And that means that's the place where students go to get their assignments and to turn in their assignments and to access their grades. Within Canvas, they can access their curriculum, which is Savas, which was Pearson in the past. Now they're called Savas. And those that curriculum is embedded within their Canvas course tile for whatever courses they sign up for. The exception to that being CTE, art, and music electives. Those course tiles are built with teacher designed. And I'm sure maybe Kimberly can talk about this. Some of the teachers are here today and tell you a little bit how they design their classes, but the CTE, art, and electives are a little bit different. Self-paced classes use Edgenuity, and that is both for instruction and curriculum. For teacher support, our CVHS classes are supported and overseen by the same teachers, both self-paced and live. For the live, the teachers design and instruct those classes. They assign, grade, give feedback on all student work. In the self-paced classes, the teachers also oversee, they track progress, they grade work, and they give feedback. For both live and self-paced, they receive full student support. We have extended learning time every Monday through Thursday at 3:30 to 4:30. And in their extended learning time, students can enjoy help with their classes. They can ask questions, they can receive tutoring, or they can just use it as an open workspace for students. For attendance and participation, there are some key differences. The live classes, attendance and participation is mandatory. We really want those classes to be interactive, engaging. We want students to work together. And so that is why they are mandatory and participation is mandatory. If a student has to be absent, they're sick, of course, those are excused. And we work with students if there is an emergency or something happens, but we generally say mandatory. Self-paced classes, those are very flexible because they're logging in daily, hopefully, but they will also pace themselves in a way they can work a little bit on Monday and a lot more on Tuesday. They will receive a pacing guide. A pacing guide will tell them what they should have done on what day, and that is in Edgenuity. It's called the course outline. And so that is probably the biggest difference for live and self-paced. Would be one is live, teacher design. Self-paced is students are pacing themselves out with Edgenuity. The instruction is video recorded in Edgenuity, not by our teachers, but like I said, it's overseen and graded, and feedback is given by our teachers. For technology and curriculum, the live and self-paced next year will both require a Cottonwood fully supported Chromebook. We had a lot of issues this year with computers that weren't our schools and trying to get into Zoom or trying to access Clever, Canvas. All of those things created some issues. So we are going to require that they have a Cottonwood Chromebook. If you take 2 or more classes, that is part of the curriculum. We'll get to that at the very, very end in the pricing, the boring stuff, but just know that part of that is as part of the curriculum of the class if they take 2 or more. Another thing you want to make sure they have is reliable internet because it's an online virtual class either way. And then live classes, some classes require microphone use, and once in a while, some more than others use cameras. So that is also part of our TCS fully supported Chromebook. And finally, in the live classes, for those that use Savas, some of the classes come with an actual textbook, like the kind that you would look at, it's set next to your computer. And if students like that, it's never required that they have to have that because all of our curriculum is in Canvas. But if students want a textbook or a work text, they can actually have that and use that. So that's very unique for our live classes. Okay, so this class list shows both self-paced and live classes. And the key difference here is that there are some classes that are only offered self-paced. Those are seen with the 1 asterisk in front. So for example, if you look at mathematics, AG Integrated Math 1 and 2 and 3, those are only offered in Edgenuity under self-paced. And there are some, some self-paced only classes. There are also some live only classes. CTE, all of those are live. And the other ones with the double asterisks, like visual arts, advanced visual arts, independent design, A to G music theory. A lot of our arts and CTE and electives, the students prefer the live class. There's a lot of collaboration, discussion, and activities that need to be done with the teacher there and with the students there. Most of our courses are both. So you can kind of take a look and see on this class list. We won't go through all of them, but one thing, the most important thing to note is that students can mix and match. So if you have a student who said, I really want live visual arts, but I think I want to take my math in Edgenuity, I wouldn't recommend that because Mr. Matthews is an excellent teacher, but let's just say they really want to do that. Okay. And they can mix and match with live and self-paced. So if you wanted to have 2 self-paced classes and 3 live classes, that's great. They can do that. Okay. So now I want to talk about our students. They're so amazing, and we have a couple here today to share with us. But first, let me tell you some fun facts. This year we had over 230 Cottonwood students taking our classes. Of those 230 students, we had 430, more than 430 live class enrollments, and we had more than 250 self-paced class enrollments. Our students prefer the live classes. As you can see, we had double the amount in our live classes. There are many, many opportunities for our teens to connect in and outside of the class. One of our priorities is building community and making sure that either virtual or in person, we are building a community among our Cottonwood teens. So on this slide, you can see Mr. L right here. He's facilitating a fun icebreaker with students at our fall kickoff. And Ms. Boyd, she's at the Makers Market. We have one this Friday. This is last year's spring one, and they're doing this again for her visual arts. Maybe she'll talk about it a little bit later, but they created class coloring books for charity and they sell it, and that's that picture. We also, this year, had our first annual Epic Art Infused Poetry Slam that merged visual arts with literary arts, and it's the glow in the dark picture right here. And then that's me and Olivia. Olivia is one of our student speakers, so I had to throw that in. That's at the Harvest Dance that we had this year. So as you can see, those are just some of the events that we have. We know that friendships are forged and adventures are had in these events. And it's really neat and fun to see when students make connections in their Zoom classes, and then we see them further develop at these events. It's really special for both the teachers and the students to see that. So now I would like to open up the time for our students to share. And I think since I talked about Olivia, I'm going to have Olivia Jones go ahead and share first.
Okay, hi. I'm Olivia Jones. I'll just give a little background on the classes that I take. Right now, I take 3 CVHS classes, and they're all live. My teachers are actually all here, I believe. Kimberly Boyd, not Mr. Matthews, Scott Matthews, and Kyle Lutke Miller. I think I said that right. Maybe. But they're all 3 my teachers. My art teachers, my math and history teachers. I have to say, I absolutely love all of my classes. I haven't taken any live classes before my freshman year, so it was really just my first experience. But I have to say, like, all of my teachers are just so welcoming and to every student, like, very kind and just amazing. I have to say, I'm more of a B, like, side of my brain type of learner, so very visual. And I feel that even though I learned that way, my all my teachers cater towards both sides and all types of learners, because even with my math teacher, like, in one math problem, he can find like 4 different ways to solve it, and I know that all kids understand the different ways. And as well as even with art and history, like, just finding ways for even every student to participate. So no matter what your kid or your student has available to them, like, all of the teachers, I'm sure, even besides mine, are really great at just finding what you have available to you or supplying you with what you need to participate in all the activities. And I would definitely recommend your child taking these classes or like looking into them. All our teachers, all of the students that I know love their classes. My friends love their classes. I really love my classes. Um, there are a lot of ways for students to meet each other. Like I have two very close friends, especially from that are in actually all of my classes, and we have gotten to know each other really well and have had opportunities in person to get to know each other better. And I definitely just there's definitely a community in this school, and that's so important. I feel especially with kids and teens now because there's just like so many things that people have going on in their own lives. So I think especially with school that's an everyday thing, it's important to have like that community for your student or your kid because no matter what's going on in their day-to-day lives, like I've had some things go on and I'll join one of my classes and there's always a laugh or a smile or how are you from my teachers, and that's always just such a nice thing. And they're great teachers. I love my teachers, and I would definitely recommend them to your students or your kids. And I'm sure all the other teachers who I would love to also have as my teachers are amazing. And I know this because I've heard great things about them too. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. And Olivia was a speaker last year to our students, and you did a really good job of maybe setting that expectation for eighth graders moving into ninth grade and what that transition was like. If you want to speak to that, I'm not sure if there's any speakers
Yes,
in here. Oh, go ahead.
8th grade, moving into ninth grade, if that's your student or your kid, definitely I have been told, like, when I was in 8th grade, I was told, like, "Oh, it's such a huge transition," or "It's very difficult," or "It's a big move," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, whatever, sure." And then it kind of I as it was before I had thought about my CVHS classes, it was like it's a lot more school, but our teachers just have like such a way of making it a lighter load for you and taking a lot of that stress off because going into ninth grade, it's high school. So you're getting ready for like any colleges are going to look into those grades, and that can put a lot of pressure on certain students. And I think our teachers really just have a great way of helping you like find that balance and making it like not feel like such a heavy load automatically. And like there's so many different ways especially that the school offers for you to like even just like express yourself, where like there's so many more opportunities instead in high school versus thinking about it as like, oh, like going into it as I have so much more like stuff now. You can think about it as like I have so much more to learn now, or like there's so many more fun things I can participate in. Like, I feel like I didn't do CVHS as a middle schooler, but, as a high schooler, I would definitely like, there's dances. I don't know what middle school actually I don't know if there are dances for middle school, but, like, just there's, like, a lot more things that you can be excited about versus being, like, disappointed about. Like, it's really all about your mindset because if you look at it as an 8th grader, if that's your student or your kid that like, "Oh, darn, like, I have to do a ton more things," versus, "Oh my gosh, like, I get to meet this new teacher and this new teacher, and I get to participate in all these things and continue going on with kids that are already in my classes before that I've gotten to know." So, I definitely think, just putting that out to your students, and I know you guys are all people that are mindset people, I feel like, so, definitely just, like, putting that out to your student or kid that, like, go into it with, like, open eyes and open hearts because especially, like I would say that in any way, but, like, especially with these classes, like, even if your kids don't do that, like, our teachers and everybody is just so open to, like, doing that for you kind of because just especially, like, being welcomed as, like, a nervous middle schooler going into high school is such a nice feeling, and I was especially nervous because I hadn't done any CVHS classes, so I didn't know any of the teachers, and, my art teacher is actually the first teacher I met in person, and she just gave me, like, a big hug, and it was, like, super cool, and we just, like, connected automatically, and then I met Mr. Matthews, and he was super awesome, very, like I have never done better in my math classes, I can honestly tell you that, because of how I learn, and so I have just done right now I have an A, I think. Don't round me out, Mr. Matthews, I think I have an A, but, I really, just very welcoming, and then just this last year, I joined my history class, and I love that class. I have also never done better in my history. So I really just think whatever way your student or your child learns, that first of all, like, this is just like such a great thing. Like, it caters to every learning. And if they're nervous to switch from eighth to ninth grade, I definitely think that CVHS classes can help with that a lot because it really just makes that transition so much easier and really just smooths out the road.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Our teachers work hard to support students where they're at and they really elevate their learning and success. So I'm really glad to hear you're having such a great year again, Olivia. Well done. All right, I'd like to take a moment and welcome our next student presenter, Iyad Al-Falahi, and take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing good. My name is Iyad, and I've taken 9 Collingwood Virtual High School classes in my freshman year and sophomore year together. I'm also taking CTE, which is Career Technical Education, and it's an amazing program. I want to talk a little bit about CVHS before I move on to CTE. CVHS has been a great amount. CVHS has been great. It's really helped me, and just like Olivia said, the teachers are all amazing. They teach students in different ways. They teach students the best way possible for them to be taught. And I really like the community, just like Olivia said, they're super welcoming, they're super supportive, and I always feel encouraged to do what I'm passionate about and what I like. Moving on from CVHS, I want to talk about CTE. CTE is amazing. And I know Olivia talked about having a good mindset. It depends on your mindset and how you're going into the CVHS classes. And I think the best way to build that really to build a good mindset of I'm going to take these classes because I want to learn new things, not because I'm going to take these classes because I have to. And it's amazing how CTE changes your mindset. I personally have experienced it. CTE has helped me develop a lot of things from my leadership to my networking skills. It's really amazing. It's helped me with my communication skill, my discipline and time management, which has really transferred over a lot to my Conwood Virtual High School classes. CTE has, I think, 11 different pathways. I'm currently taking health career, health careers, which is amazing. It's helped me, it's helped me really understand a lot more about the health career industry. And I, and it helped me realize that, yes, I like what I'm doing here with the healthcare. And I think CTE is a great way to build your mindset. It's a great way to connect with students that have the same mindset as you. And I also want to great, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my camera, but um, yeah, see, Miss Bellier is super supportive. Whichever way you need to learn. Sometimes some students will fall behind, and she'll find ways to help them get back on track. And with CTE, you learn a lot about your career and a lot about uh, things that can transfer to any career if you choose to change your career pathway. We focus a lot on skills, on interpersonal skills, and a lot on soft skills. Soft skills are basically skills that you need in everyday communication, everyday jobs. So leadership, soft skills include leadership, networking, communication, discipline, and creativity. And I think CTE is an amazing way to do that. It teaches you real world projects based on curriculum designed and taught by professionals, and it also helps you get ready for the industry that you're going to go into. And there is nothing better than having a teacher who can support you, like Miss Balliet. And I genuinely want to thank Miss Balliet for all she's done for all her students. And I also want to thank Miss Lizette for Miss Swibling for letting me speak today.
Thank you, Iyad. Oh, okay. Well, we have amazing students, as you can see, and I only had two of them come today because we didn't have time. We're running out of time. And I appreciate what you guys shared. I appreciate what you shared about CTE, about what it's like to transition, and about how amazing our teachers are. They truly, truly are. I did want to share a few more comments. I polled the students and they couldn't all share, so I pulled some of the comments out. I love the community of students and my amazing teachers. I like how easy it is to reach out to my teacher to ask questions and to access and submit work. I enjoy the interaction with other students, breakout rooms, group projects, etc. I like learning with other people and having a teacher who knows all about my subject. My teachers always make class fun and interactive. They make me curious about different topics and are always open to questions and discussions. My classes are so awesome. I enjoy how inclusive and welcoming my teachers are. They're always so supportive and are always so kind. CVHS live classes, we're going to scoot on over to that and meet those live teachers, the teachers that teach the live. They are live. Yep, there they are. The live classes are dynamic, interactive, and provide high quality online teaching. Our live classes meet 2 times a week for 1 hour each class, and the schedule that you see right there is showing you the Monday through Thursday schedule. That's when we have the live classes. These Zoom sessions are teacher designed and facilitated for maximum student engagement and learning. Each teacher brings their own teaching style and uses digital tools to enhance learning and student success. The majority of our students take live classes and love the community and the direct instruction it provides. Now, let's meet the teacher team as they describe what they do in their live classes. First up is Ms. Onwin Tompkins.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I know there's a lot of writing on this slide. I know that can feel kind of intimidating. So if you don't want to be overwhelmed by all of it, my recommendation is to choose one type of class or the other. So you could start with, like, let's say live class, then you're going to find your grade. And then there's only 4 things you need to look at, right? You just have to go across your line. You don't have to read any of the other lines. So these are the different sort of thematic units that we did this past year. Next year's probably going to look pretty similar, but there might be a little bit of change and some updated text. So usually each year, if there are students who are saying, you know, that text was just not that interesting, I'll say, okay, next year we're going to find a new one. Next year we're going to put something else in there and we're going to update it and see. But generally, those are going to be the subjects that we're working on. So if you can see on there, so Q1, we do a science collaboration. So I worked really closely with Mrs. Frank about what she does in her different classes, and had some overlap and got some information from her about what she's doing. Q2, I worked with Mr. L, and we did some overlap there. And then we did some classic literature in Q3. We did lots of different Shakespeare. And I know Shakespeare sounds really intimidating, but I promise it is not that intimidating as it seems. And then we did a poetry unit where we did some art collaboration with our art teacher, Ms. Boyd, and Mr. L. We worked together and had our big poetry slam. And then now we're in 4th quarter and we're doing storytelling and narrative writing, and we're getting really creative with the things that we're working on. So our self-paced classes, they have more in each semester. There are more topics that are covered, but they're covered more briefly. So it is a similar amount of work. It's just more like a more variety of topics and less focused on just one thing per quarter in the self-paced classes. So either way, regardless of what you're taking, you're welcome to come to office hours. You're welcome to chat with me any and all time. I have students coming from both live classes and self-paced classes. We can talk about anything you're struggling with, anything that you need. I am more than happy to meet with you. So usually it's me and Mr. Matthews in our office hours, and everyone comes to get math help, but hardly anyone comes to get English help. And I'm always waiting for students, hoping they'll come see me and ask questions. So you're more than welcome to do that. And I hope to see some of you next year.
Wonderful. And I think English is supposed to be right here, and that's why I was toggling back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what happened, but this
It
is
used to
English.
say English. That's the subject.
I'll take a look at this later. All right, next up is Mr. Matthews. He teaches math. Unmute.
I was trying to think of like how to summarize everything I do as succinctly as possible. And I think the key to math in my mind is feedback. Like you need to know whether you're understanding it or not. If you are doing the math wrong and you're doing it over and over again wrong, you're just getting better and better at doing it wrong. And so one of the things I really like about Savas and the textbook I have and the homework I assign and stuff like that is you answer the question and then you know right then, did I get it right or did I get it wrong? And then you can figure out if you got it wrong, why did you get it wrong? And the inside of the homework, it's got examples of how to do similar problems. It'll walk you through step by step how to do the homework. And I feel like as a teacher, I'm there helping and aiding and facilitating the students as the students are trying to work through the homework. And so in addition to the homework, and really Mrs. or Lizette will tell you that I hated the textbook for like the first month or two, but I've fallen in love with it. I think that it's a really useful way of learning math, and I feel like I'm just facilitating and helping the students work through the textbook. I got to pick the problems that the students are doing. I try and pick problems that I think are going to be just the right level of difficulty for the students. I feel like if they're working on the right sorts of problems, it'll be challenging, but not too challenging. And that's what sort of keeps students interested in math. I flip my classes. And so the way that works is I make videos that go along with the textbook. It's an online textbook. And so I explain how to do everything in the videos with the hope that the students watch the videos before class. And then when they come to class, we dive right into doing the problems so that I can figure out what questions the students have as quickly as possible and answer as many questions as possible. And whatever answers I don't get done in class, they come to office hours, like Anwen was saying. I try and make it to office hours 4 days a week, and I just answer more questions. And a lot of math is, there's a lot to understand in math, and I feel like my job is figuring out what students don't understand and then helping them understand it. Good, and I think that's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Matthews. He teaches pre-algebra. Well, no, pre-algebra is going to be self-paced next year, but algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 are live classes. He also does a whole bunch on the class list. You can see integrated math, pre-cal, all those things are self-paced. And of course, he's in office hours pretty much every day. Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Next up is Tori Frank, science.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tori Frank, and I'm the science teacher. So as you can see on the screen, I teach earth sciences, biology, and chemistry. And then there's also a self-paced physics course that I oversee. So the nature of science is curiosity. And so I try to constantly engage my students with super amazing, awesome information pertaining to whatever it is that I'm teaching. And I like to do it in a lot of different ways. So I like to use simulations, so online virtual simulations. I use online virtual labs. I am constantly trying to find new ways to teach whatever it is that I'm teaching at the moment. And it is all NGSS aligned. If you have access to this PowerPoint presentation, underneath each class, I have hyperlinked the course outline and standards if you're interested in learning more about that, how I align the standards to whatever unit it is I'm teaching. So everything is standards aligned, and I'm always trying to integrate English and math, especially in chemistry. There's a little bit of math in there. And so there's a lot of cross-curricular action going on. I use a lot of informative writing technique in all three of my courses. I call it science writing. So there's a lot of cross-curricular, interdisciplinary options that we can use. And what else do I do? I try, the way that I see my courses is to be a curator of instruction. And I'm constantly trying to figure out how can I teach this content, which some of it's pretty difficult, in a way that's really easy to understand so that students are like, yeah, I like that. I like science. That's like my main goal in life is to make everyone love science because I do.
You
I'm
did.
really passionate about all the subjects that I teach. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
I feel like whenever I bop into your class, Tori, I learn like a real, like a job that someone's doing right now using this science concept because it's so, you have so many real world connections.
That's
And-
actually one of my goals next year is for every single unit in all of my classes is to create lists of professions, because when I was in high school, nobody ever told me about all the professions in the world. And so as far as science goes, if a student is interested in that, I want to be like, well, here are, I don't know, 6,000 different jobs that you could get within these disciplines. So that's one of my goals for next year.
Yeah, but they're also solving the world's problems because when I went in last time, we were doing like Google Map overlays or some kind of thing that
Oh
was
yeah, meteorology. Yeah.
we were doing meteorology. It was fun. Thank you, Tori, for all you do. Next up is Mr. L. Olivia said your name perfectly, by the way, Mr. Mueller. I can't.
Yeah, it's not easy. So again, for most of my students, I don't put them through that, but instead you can just call me Mr. L, which works. And I think it's just a lot easier. But yes, Olivia, you did a great job. So I'm glad everybody's here tonight. Again, I teach the social sciences for the CVHS program. And as you can see on the slide, kind of like the other ones, I'm trying not to include too much information while also making it, informative about the different things we have going on. So there's the 3 different courses, government and economics. If it wasn't clear from the schedule, typically government is in the fall as a 1-semester course, and then economics follows it in the springtime. But self-paced, those can be taken interchangeably kind of during those different semesters. But as for the live schedule here, all my courses also follow a similar structure in terms of like attendance, participation, assessments, and assignments. As Ms. Swabbin mentioned, right, we really want our students to come and participate and attend in the classes when they're there. So my courses are designed to kind of encourage that as much as possible. And really what we focus on, at least for my courses, are what I like to call the 5 C's. Some people call them the 4 C's by combining 2 of them, but we have continuity and change over time, causation, comparison, and contextualization. So we kind of interweave those, I consider these thinking skills of what we want to be able to identify when we look at historical events. And then we mix in a bunch of more 21st century skills like research and synthesizing this information and supporting our positions in writing, and supporting those positions, again, using our research and evidence. But as far as the thinking skills, when we look at these different topics, I'm trying to kind of, introduce my students to this material, not as, history being a story that's told and memorized and then regurgitated on some big long test like it kind of was for me in high school, but rather really a tool for understanding and exploring and understanding, kind of how we got to where we are today. So for world history, we look at change over time. So how we kind of start more specifically in Europe, for example, and see a change from what is largely a period ruled by monarchs, kings and queens, to sort of these democratic revolutions. So we're looking at that change over time. And then we look at both those things in an age of imperialism, but we look at continuity. So what stays the same at this point? What aren't we seeing changing, and what is sort of happening everywhere all the same, more or less? Causation with things like World War I and World War II, right? How do these important events in world history, what causes them? They don't just develop overnight. And it's often not just one simple thing. So we look at, right, that causation there. And then we able to take it into with comparison if we get far enough by looking at how does something like the Cold War differ from wars we've seen in the past, like World War I and World War II, right? What is the difference between a Cold War and a hot war, and making that comparison? And then we kind of revisit those things through different topics, whether it's U.S. history, government, or economics. But the main thing for, again, all my courses is that they're very student centered, and we try to use project based assessment. So after we finish talking about topics rather than a test, I want the students to create a project, and there's a lot of different ways they can do it. We call it our project menu a lot of times, where they can choose from any one of the topics we just talked about, and they're going to focus on that. And there's a range of different ways they can complete the project, from creating a podcast to a slideshow to writing an essay. I'll give them a test if they really want to test. But you'd be surprised to find most students don't choose the test option and would rather create something that they can turn in to show me what they know. And that, again, is pretty standard from world history through U.S. history and then into government and economics. And similar to Ms. Frank, I try to utilize simulations, especially in government and economics. And I try to gamify when I can, either using Kahoot or other different, fun, interactive ways for us to learn this material, rather than just, telling a student to read a chapter and then, we're going to take a big 50-question test at the end of a unit. And yeah, so again, similar to Ms. Tompkins, I'm in there every Thursday in office hours with Mr. Matthews, and everybody there is for math help, but I would love for students to come in and utilize that time to also maybe talk about some history, things they're interested in. We could explore different topics that maybe we don't have to in class, but yeah, and any other questions, feel free to email me or reach out, and we can discuss that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. L. I do want to say these teachers have worked hard to learn what it means to have excellent digital pedagogy. And when Mr. L talks about all the different Kahoot and games and things that he's using that to elevate that student achievement and grab their attention, get that engagement, and then make sure that they're learning. And so what we've been really working on this year is not replacing instruction, but elevating instruction, not replacing the teacher, but using those digital tools to really make sure those students are learning. So the teachers have really embraced whatever technology works for their discipline. Like Mr. Matthews talked about, he really likes Savas. It really is working, as those students can go into Canvas and it's interactive, telling them, yeah, you got that math problem correct or not correct, let's do another one. So that is something that we've worked really hard on for the last 2 years, and you can see it in how the students are achieving and how happy they are, they're learning. And so I just want to give a shout out to all the teachers for working so hard on that. And next we have CTE. We know that Iad talked a lot about this. Ms. Ballier does a great job of bringing this real world connection, huge real world connection, all these pathways to our schools. So I'm going to let her talk about that.
So yeah, thank you everyone for coming. And so as one of my students, I let them get involved in these presentations. And one of them said, this is where you come to learn how to make money and how to spend it or manage it. So I would rather say. So for one thing, I want to let you guys know, any of my self-paced classes are not in Edgenuity. That comes up. They are still designed by me, and they are through Canvas. So that's just one of the logistical things. And so CTE, or Career Technical Education, is about learning to earn. And so, oops, we've got somebody beeping at me to come in. So the program overview is that Cottonwood Career Technical Education, CTE pathways, provide students with essential career, academic, and employability skills, also known as soft skills, that are needed for the modern workplace. So this is where they learn. He said a lot of this stuff, so I'm not going to go over that kind of thing, but the program details are that the duration is a 1-year program, and it's a double credit. So they're earning 20 credits for the program. That's the equivalent of 2 years. So it's important, like HSTs out there, make sure that you're aware. It's 2 elective classes together. So there is more work. It's a lot of fun work though. They do a lot of projects, short and long-term projects. They have a lot of choice in their projects. They're able to negotiate things with me if they don't really like something, but they do have to cover certain material, of course. Certifications, they're able to earn they get their certificate from the Cottonwood School upon successful completion of the program, and that is a C or better. Students also earn job skill and employability skill certificates throughout the course. And there's also industry certifications that will be available next year. All of our pathways are A to G approved, and 9th through 12th graders are welcome. And so we have 11 CTE pathways offered for next year, and it's through CVHS Live. And they are agri-science, animal science, ornamental horticulture, which is includes floral and landscape design, child development, family and human services. You may know that as social services, health careers, hospitality, tourism, and recreation, managing business, marketing, entrepreneurship, and finance. So what happens is a student chooses a CTE pathway that they're going to work on for the year for that program. They can choose a different pathway in subsequent years if they want to do that. I have some that start in 9th grade and they want to take a different pathway each year or for a couple of years, and that's okay. But they work on the one for the one program for the first year. And the course features are, like what's said, real world project-based curriculum designed and taught by industry professionals. So it's really important to emphasize that because for CTE credentials, teachers have to have real world, proven, documented experience in the industry. It has to be recent experience too. So that's really important because we don't want to just throw a business book at somebody, you know, a textbook to learn business. We want the students to really be interacting with professionals that have been out there, that own businesses, that manage businesses and such as well. Individualized assignments and projects that students help design. Lots of industry professional speakers. And we have additional supports that are available, coaching, one-on-one meetings. And I do have my own, we're actually calling it virtual study hall twice a week. And then schedule is unique. This is for maximum flexibility. We're a homeschooling family. We know how it is. So we have power hours. That's what we call our classes because they're really powerful. And what happens in my power hours is that the students from all the different pathways, other than finance, but they can join too, they meet together. And the reason why they all do it together is because there are anchor standards. There's pathway standards and there's anchor standards. So for those of you who know Canvas, they will end up with 2 tiles in Canvas, one for their anchor and one for their pathway. So what happens there is that's a really good thing too, because they do all have the same anchor standards across all industry sectors of CTE. So they work on those, like I said, employability skills and interview skills, application, career exploration, all those kind of things together. They're also exposed to the other pathways that way. And the truth is, in real life, we all work with people that are in different industries, different pathways. So it gives them that experience as well. So those are Tuesdays and Thursdays. The first option is in the morning from 10 to 11. The second option is in the afternoon, 1:30 to 2:30. They are required to go to one class each Tuesday and each Thursday, but they can mix it up. So that's why I said, like homeschoolers, sometimes you're, you know, out on a field trip or whatever. You can change it up as long as they come to one each week of each Tuesday and Thursday. And so they are required to do that. And then newly this year coming up is that we have CTE finance, which will also have the ability to meet with my personal finance class on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2:30 to 3:30. So again, they also have to make sure that they're in either one of the power hours or the finance class, personal finance class each week. And then, so with personal finance, the students have the ability to choose a couple of things. They can take personal finance as a class. Personal finance 1 is a 1-year course. If they're only wanting to do a semester, talk to me and we can talk about that. They can also do self-paced, and like I said, it is not Edgenuity, it is I've designed it. And then we also have a personal finance 2 for any students who have already taken personal finance. And then we also have the CTE finance pathway. So what's the difference? The CTE finance pathway includes personal finance, the CTE anchor like we talked about, And it also has a finance capstone. So all CTE pathways have a capstone course. That's the spring course. And that's the cumulative. They will do a capstone project that they're all working on right now. They're deep into it. Some of them are doing Makers Market as part of that. They get to choose their capstone project. It has to be, like I said, cumulative. It has to represent what they've learned throughout the year. And then, yeah, that's it, I think.
Thank you. And I love how you have the picture of the Makers Market right in the middle of your slide
I
from
know.
last year. And Ms. Ballier's students will show up in
I have
force.
5. Yeah, I have 5 or 6. Yeah.
And they'll be in the Teen Alley at the
Yeah.
Makers Market. So we hope you guys will come check them out. Thank you, Ms. Ballier. Her students love her classes. If you go to our board meetings online, they're usually talking about her classes and how much they love them. It's dynamic. It prepares them for life outside of high school. It gives them goals, dreams, and aspirations. And even if they take agri-science and they go, yeah, I don't really want to do anything about it, I just want to learn about it. That's okay. We have a lot of students doing that. And maybe they'll go into business or something else, or maybe they'll take business as a CT the next year and realize they really love it. Whatever their desire is, a lot of times it's just fun to explore. It's just fun to explore the different CTEs and then get that passion ignited for those students. So thank you, Ms. Bally, for all you do. You are amazing. Next, we have the amazing Ms. Boyd, Kimberly Boyd, and our visual arts teacher.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Olivia. We have such a great time in our visual arts classes. Our visual arts 1 is more of a survey course where we learn specifically about the art elements and design principles throughout the entire year. However, we use a breadth of different mediums to do that. And so students will do cartooning and printmaking and collage and watercolor and doodling, like all kinds of these things to learn the basics, really, the art elements and design principles. So that first class is really about exposure. Like, it's my hope that any of those students that are coming in and they're like, oh, I have to take a VAPA course or, whatever for college, I want to catch those students that might feel a bit intimidated to be in an arts course so that they can find something along the way that they're like, oh my gosh, I really love collage, or I really love the mask making, or I really loved the silk screen, whatever it be. So it's a great way for them to kind of get their hands, in all of it. And with that being said, if there is something that a student is just like, I really enjoyed working with clay, they can choose then to do each and every next assignment through the clay medium. I don't have a lot of students choose to do that, but I do have a few. Like, one of the students this year in Visual Arts 1, we did mask making as a tool to learn about proportion and scale and such. But she is crocheting her mask because she loves the textile arts and stuff. So super fun. It's we have a studio time that meets between that course and then the advanced arts class. That is optional, and some students will just hang out, chill, ask questions. I do meet with students one-on-one quite frequently, and to better meet their needs or find a way that, if they don't have a certain set of materials or something, okay, well, what do you have? And then let's problem solve that together so that they can, experience the same that others are, but in the way that they do it best. I absolutely am so passionate about meeting the student wherever they're at and figuring it out together. So then we go into advanced art. Advanced art, again, revisits the art elements and design principles, but now they've become our language. So we take, the foundation we built in Visual Arts 1 and then go into some, like hyperrealism and abstract and social issues with art, service through art. So we take it into broader and deeper concepts in that application. With the both of those two courses, our big focus really is that students feel heard and seen and equipped to express themselves creatively. I think that they all find a voice through their art, and that is just such a beautiful thing. And I'm the one, I feel like I walk away learning all the time. I'm the one, right? I'm like, oh my goodness, I wouldn't have thought of that way, or whatever it be. So then our new class for this next year is Visual Arts Independent Design, where these students will self-direct. So our advanced art students got a bit more independence in the sense of it's not as if I showed them all, you do this technique, I'll show you the technique, you do the technique. They did a lot of self-exploration on their own. And then that was so that in the year 3, they can begin to like develop their own body of work and set forth a proposal. And this is what my plan of study is going to be for this semester. This is what I want to focus on. This is where I want to grow. That, so it is, I am so excited about that. All of that to be said, our Visual Arts 1 produces an amazing collaborative coloring book. They learn how different audiences might receive images. We talk about culture. We learn about entrepreneurship. We learn about how line type can speak. Big, bold lines might express something versus thin whisper lines, these types of things. We learn so much about broad audiences, capabilities, the little kids needing pictures within the coloring book that are big and open, and then offering a variety of like detailed images for the older, population. And then the advanced art this year, their collaboration project is they're creating our first ever yearbook. So we vote on categories, everybody contributes, they learn about layout and production and how to collaborate. And, it's sometimes challenging when we're a virtual setting with visual arts, in the sense that you're not in a studio and you're not walking by and just kind of hearing someone say this or say that, or noticing, hey, you might want to shift this way or that way. So it really takes this like entire team, and I feel like our students are the ones that really lead that. When Miss Rank said she was a curator, I see myself the same way. Like, I'm responding to how the students respond. I'm constantly looking at how is a better way to bring this to their understanding, because each class is their own unique creative force, and I want to embrace that. So I'm super excited about our arts program, and yeah.
Awesome. And real quick, it is 4:30. We're going to record this. If you have to leave, teachers, staff, and parents, I get it, but we have one more teacher presentation, and then I'll do question and answers and pricing. So if you want to hang in there, you can. If you have to leave, I totally get it. But Kimberly, real quickly, I wanted you to address, if a student wants to do visual art independent design, do they have to do Visual Arts 1 or 2, or what do you want to tell people about that?
No, they don't, because a lot of our students may have explored and grown and self-taught themselves. And I fully get that and respect that. And so we wanted to offer a third type of class that all students, there aren't these requirements that they may have done that with a vendor or their family or whatever it be. So no, they don't have to have it. They do need to email me so that we can have a discussion, so that we have some understanding. There's my puppy and Amazon.
Mine started to bark at the same time, so I was wondering if they heard each other. And also keep in mind that the Art 3 is very connecting students art to careers or art to deeper interests and that broader scope of the world, really.
And it really does format very much like a CTE course, you know, where they're really exploring their careers and they're, you know, we're getting speakers and hoping to even format internships of some sort, you know, making those connections in the community for them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. How exciting. Appreciate that. All right. So next we're going to hear from Anna Santana, our Spanish teacher.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you here. And well, let me just tell you really quick about the Spanish course. It is done through a program called from SAPAS. It is called Auténtico. And here are the topics that we cover for Spanish 1, Spanish 2, semester 1 and semester 2. What we do every week is we cover vocabulary, new vocabulary, and also a number of grammar terms. As some of my colleagues have said, we try to make the concept easy to understand. So that is something that I'm really proud of. The students are able to understand the concepts, grammar concepts, and apply them. And well, that is really nice. I use different methods to teach them. We use well, of course, directed lessons. They work on projects. Some of the projects, for example, include searching a dish from a Hispanic country, and then they get extra credits if they actually prepare the dish. So that is like a really nice project that they love to do. And another thing, another activity that they do that I think is really enjoyable for them is that with every unit, they get to learn a song and then record the song in Spanish. And so that is also something that I think is fun because I hear them when they are singing it and they enjoy that too. Let me see what else. Some other things that we use in class to learn are Kahoot, activities in Kahoot, in Nearpod, in Quizlet. And then we always have dialogues that students have to create dialogues using the new vocabulary that they learn, and also the grammar concepts that they learn. So they get to create conversations with classmates in teams, and so those are really fun too. And let me see what else. Okay, so in every week we cover vocabulary, grammar, but we also cover concepts in culture from different Spanish-speaking countries. And those are very interesting too, because students get to compare their own experience with the experiences from people in other countries in the Spanish-speaking world. And so, yeah, it's a really fun program, and it includes every aspect connected to world languages, to learning about the country, well, different countries that were Spanish spoken. And so it is very positive, connected to the state standards, California, and yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you so
mhm.
much. Okay, sorry if Anna Santana disappeared because I was trying to queue up for our next teacher who had to leave. But I wanted to introduce Jamin Collar's music video. He is our A to G music theory teacher. And he is, if you look at the schedule, you will see it is slated on the schedule 2 days a week. But the next video, it's just going to go right into the video. If you can't hear or see it, post something in the chat box because these are brand new settings to optimize things and sounds and whatnot in Zoom. If you Zoom, you know what I'm talking about. So hopefully this works. Let's see.
Did you know that every song that exists uses just 7 notes? Also, did you know that humans can't hear notes of a melody? I'll show you what we do here. The thing is, it wasn't that long ago that everyone just assumed that music was magical, made up of unfathomable spirits. Some people still see it that way, but you live in an amazing age, a time where we know what music is, how it's constructed, and the easiest ways to master it and use it like we do with any language. If you know nothing about music, come visit this class. You'll accidentally learn a little bit about piano, a little bit about drums, a little bit about how to read sheet music. And if you already consider yourself a pro, come along and I guarantee we'll fill in some gaps in your understanding that you didn't even know you had. I hope to see you soon.
Okay, so that's the music theory trailer, written and produced by our own Jamin.
Did you
Collins.
know
And
that
now I
every
have to
song
get out
that
of this.
exists
Hold on.
uses
Let's see if I can do
just 7 notes?
I played with this not during the info session, and it kept looping too. So hold on one second.
Did
Very
you know that
responsive.
every song that exists uses
There we go. Okay, so let's go back into our slideshow and the last slide. Yay, pricing. We have bundled pricing for CVHS. When you are at Cottonwood, you get instructional funding for each student. And so for high schoolers, if you enjoyed 4 or more classes, you would each semester is when the fees are procured. So basically, in the fall, 2 weeks, you get 2 weeks to try the class, and then the 900 comes out. And in the spring, I think the funds come out a little early when the funds drop, I think in November, and then you still have 2 weeks to shift if you want to do something different. But students will have $1,400 left over for the entire rest of the year if they took 4 or more classes. So that is something I want you to think about. Our classes are approximately 300 each semester, but with each class, each bundle, if you add more classes, it's way more cost effective. So keep that in mind, which I think is why the majority of our students take 4 classes. And then the second amount takes like 2 and 5, and then hardly anyone does 1 class. They usually take 2 or more. So keep that in mind as you think about just the funding for next year. You'll have plenty of opportunity and funding for curriculum, classes, and extracurriculars outside of the CVHS program. If you enroll in 2 or more CVHS classes, it not only enhances the student's learning experience, but it also brings added value with curriculum and technology included. If you take 2, 3, 4 or more classes, all classes come with curriculum and the TCS Chromebook. If you only take 1 class, there is going to be a $200 TCS required tech fee. So for $100 more, if you take 2 classes, you just pay $100 more, you get the computer. So it just makes sense. And that's the way the pricing will be next year. Keep in mind that CVHS offers an amazing program for home study Cottonwood students. We have flexibility, we have choice, we have engagement, we have university prep academics, we have curiosity building, we have creativity, we have so many amazing things, community, all these wonderful things to bring to your Cottonwood teen. So whether your student opts for 1 class or wishes to enroll in multiple classes, which we hope they do, CVHS provides a flexible, comprehensive, and enriching college prep high school learning experience. And I'm going to stay on for any questions. Thank you all for taking time to hear about Cottonwood Virtual High School. Thank you, teachers, for coming out.